Alder Lake. Intel's next-gen CPUs are supposed to hit the market later this year, and the rumors and leaks are getting crazier by the minute. In this video, I will give you a short overview on what we know so far, what the latest rumors predict, and I will give you my thoughts on potential pitfalls for Intel's first 10nm desktop CPU. And yes, you heard me right, 10nm. And why I think it has a lot of potential to finally beat out AMD's Ryzen Zen 3 based CPUs. Here's what we know so far. Alder Lake is what Intel calls a hybrid architecture. Basically what we know as big little from the mobile space. Your phone has it, the Apple M1 has it, and it's a stable when it comes to ARM and RISC design in general. Intel calls the big cores P cores and the little ones E cores. The big ones will be based on the brand new Golden Cove architecture, the third installment of the Cove line after Sunny and Willow Cove. The small cores will be based on Gracemont, Intel's current day version of their Atom cores, but much improved. And both cores design will have a maximum of 8 cores, with the big P cores also coming with hyperthreading, which leaves us with this interesting result of 16 actual cores and 24 threads. Alder Lake will be manufactured on Intel's new 10nm enhanced superfin process. They could have called it Intel 10nm Plus, but I don't blame them for not trying to go down this road again. With Alder Lake, Intel will introduce a new socket too, LGA 1700. Yeah, I know LGA 1200 isn't that old yet, it just came out last year, but because the new CPUs will support all the latest tech, including DDR5 and PCI Express Gen 5, and support larger and more powerful CPUs, it's update time again for Intel. Just over the past few days, the leaks and rumors went wild, with first claimed Cinebench R20 results arriving, showing that Alder Lake handily beats Zen 3 in single thread and multi-threading. Of course, these are unconfirmed rumors, but they do sound really exciting. So finally, 10nm, new Golden Cove cores, a hybrid design, DDR5, PCI Express Gen 5. Who wouldn't be hyped? Well, if I'm honest, I wasn't very hyped when I first heard about Alder Lake. And here's why. Reason number one is Intel's track record when it comes to 10nm. We've been hearing about it since 2015, which is quite a while ago. And while there are mobile 10nm products out there, Intel took the struggle bus, to be honest. In my eyes, they still have to prove that they can deliver a good 10nm desktop product. And number two also has to do with Intel's track record, but this time concerning IPC. We already have a Cove-based CPU in the desktop space. Rocket Lake, Intel's current gen 11th gen CPUs, are based on Cypress Cove, which is nothing more than a 40nm backport of Sunny Cove. They promise 20% IPC, and while there are definitely some areas where the IPC improvements in Rocket Lake show over the previous Skylake versions, when it comes to gaming, a lot of it is being lost in latency. AnandTech did a really great analysis of the Cypress Cove cores and Rocket Lake, and it was really an eye-opener for me to see that these big cores on this older process have latency issues, which immediately gives you bad results in gaming. Number three, and my main concern, was the hybrid design. Some bad tongues might say it was Intel's last-ditch effort to keep Apple as a customer, and we all know how that went. My first impression was only 8 big cores in 2021. AMD started to offer 16 big cores in the mainstream desktop with Zen 2 back in July of 2019. Half as many cores 2.5 years later might not cut it, especially when it comes to multi-threading. And while we are on the topic of the Zen architecture, one of the biggest initial drawbacks was the CCX design and how the CPU had to use the Infinity Fabric to communicate in between them. It's bad for latency and power draw. If Intel adds big and little cores together, how will they make sure they communicate properly? How will their scheduling work? It would be suboptimal if my game suddenly decides to use the little cores for its main thread, or the communication between the big and little cores does not work properly when they are under full multi-threading load. 10 nanometer process, hybrid design, IPC promises, all of these are potential pitfalls for Alder Lake, and if just one of them doesn't deliver, the whole concept is at risk. But Alder Lake isn't a backport. The Golden Cove cores are being manufactured in the very node they were designed for. And when we look at Zen, Zen Plus, and then the huge step forward with Zen 2, Golden Cove is also the third entry in Intel's Cove journey. And as you know, the third time's the charm. If they nail the 10 nanometer process, if they actually deliver on these IPC gains across all workloads, the only part left is the hybrid approach. And the more I think about it, the more I actually start to like it. When it comes to gaming, you don't really need more than 8 cores, 16 threads, even in 2022. Specifically when those cores and threads are boasting a really strong IPC and high clock speeds. So I'm not concerned for gaming at all. And while AMD Zen had their issues with communication and scheduling between their CCX clusters, Alder Lake's P&E cores serve a different function. They might not be as much dependent on a perfect low latency connection. And with the upcoming Windows 11, there are rumors of a new scheduler. So in general, I think the chances are very high that we will see a decent scheduling between the cores from day one. On top of that, the hybrid design makes a lot of sense when it comes to the resources Intel has to work with. AMD has small and efficient cores which they produce as chiplets, and this gives them high yields and low cost manufacturing, and they can basically mix and match as they please. Intel still uses a monolithic approach with Alder Lake. 16 big Golden Cove cores on a single die would create a huge die size. This is bad for manufacturing. Costs would go up, yields would go down. It's not economically viable, especially when they compete with such an dynamic chiplet design like Zen 3. Intel knows they don't need more than 8 cores when it comes to gaming and channel single thread performance, but they do need a way to catch up to AMD in the multi-threaded space. And that's where the little cores come in. They take a lot less space than the big cores, they produce less heat, and are an easy and, more importantly, economically feasible way of adding extra multi-thread power. If you're rendering a big project, you don't care if the latency isn't perfect between the P and the E cores. Once all big and little cores do their job, they will deliver. And when you're gaming, the little cores most likely won't concern you at all, since everything is done on the big cores. It just makes sense. That way Intel can continue to offer their high performance big cores and at the same time offer multi-threading performance to compete with AMD's higher core count Ryzen CPUs. I have to say, the closer we get to the Alder Lake launch, the more excited I get. I think Alder Lake has the potential to be an amazing CPU if they're able to avoid the pitfalls of manufacturing, IPC, and scheduling. And with this potential comes the potential to be the best in gaming and really, really close in multi-threading. But what do you guys think about Alder Lake? Are you as excited as I am? Or are you more on the skeptical side and want to wait a little bit until we get further information? I would love to read your comments and your opinions about it down in the comment section below. And that's been it for today. I hope you really enjoyed the video, at least as much as I did making it. The first time with an actual video camera right here, and I hope a little bit better sound. If you enjoyed this video, please like it to help me grow. And since Alder Lake is on my shortlist already, if you are interested in the Alder Lake story and what's happening next and how things progress and how it will turn out, consider following, because I will definitely make updated videos on Alder Lake once we get more information. So you can follow the story with me. And see you until next time. Bye.